Hi, I'm Alison. Welcome to my YouTube channel. When people ask me what I do for a living, I often start off with this sort of flippant answer that I make people cry. So in this video, I want to introduce myself a little bit, tell you a little bit about the work that I do, and why tears are so often an early part and absolutely a repeating part of the work that I do in supporting people through recovery. So I work with people whose lives have absolutely been turned upside down by chronic fatigue syndrome, ME, long COVID, fibromyalgia, post-viral syndrome, any one of these labels, which essentially all refer to the same collection of symptoms that tell you that your mind and your body have just been overwhelmed with the life that you've been living. My clients are people who've been very, very busy, active, used to being independent. They're often the go-to people when other people want something done. They can be the fixers in their families, the real high flyers if they're in business. Are people who tend to push themselves to the limit. So maybe they're people who have done a lot of extreme exercise, really push their bodies to the limit. It may be that they've put all of their energies into family, into caring for children, for parents, for communities, for everybody around them. But what they all have in common is they haven't looked after themselves. And that years of pushing through, striving, and being those people that everybody else depends on has taken its toll. And eventually their bodies have just said no more. So many of them have crashed quite spectacularly. Some of them have even been in hospital, bedbound, finding it difficult even to raise their arms to brush their hair, completely dependent on other people. And that is a horrifying, frightening thing for somebody who's been used to being so independent. And the reason I'm doing this work is actually I am one of those people. But I am somebody who has actually come through fibromyalgia and recovered. And that's part of the reason why I'm not sitting in an office at the moment. I am actually standing in the hills just beyond my home, because this is where I feel most myself. And that is one of the core parts of recovery, is peeling away all those layers of expectations, all the things that drive you not to look after yourself, and finding out what really makes your heart sing. What do you need? I come from a nursing background, and one of the things that I learned very early on was that Florence Nightingale taught that, in contrast to medicine, which looks for cures, focuses on symptoms, that real healing comes from nature. We have an innate, inbuilt facility for our bodies to heal themselves if we remove the things that are overwhelming them. And so I learned as a nurse that my job, some of the most important work that was called basic nursing, often quite pejoratively, was to remove those barriers to the natural healing process so that people could begin to heal themselves. And that's the work that I do now. So I am a wellbeing coach and a recovery specialist. And I work with clients to learn how to slow down the pace of their life, to remove the pressures, to identify what they are, and to gradually change things piece by piece so they can remove all of those real root causes of why they're so overwhelmed, so that their bodies and their minds have a chance to heal. And on this channel, I want to share with you some of my own recovery journey, because I think that's one of my most powerful tools. My nursing background is important. My well-being coaching is really important. But the reason why so many people cry when they first talk to me, it's not because I'm mean, I promise. It's because, having been told for years that there's no cure and they've got to essentially give up, learn to adapt, learn to cope, here they are talking to somebody who's been there. I've been bedbound. I've been in that position where walking to the toilet feels like a major achievement. I've been in that position where you think your life is over. You're just watching from the sidelines. So I understand it. But I've also come through it with support from the Chrysalis Effect online program. And I now work with that program, coaching people through it so that they can actually follow that recovery path, their own recovery path too. And that recovery path led me here. So I left Scotland, where I trained as a nurse 20 years ago, and wanted to come back ever since. I never wanted to leave. And I went from a position where, as I said, it was a struggle to get to the toilet, It was a major achievement when I made it to the front garden gate. To where I am now, moving house, living where I am most happy, where I'm most myself, and where I can climb in the hills behind me. So one of the absolute highlights of my life is climbing the 450 metres up to the top of the Campsie Hills, Campsie Fells behind my house, to the cairn, with no more than the usual pounding of a heart of somebody who is not hugely fit, but no palpitations, no gasping for breath, no exhaustion or collapse the next day, just normal tiredness. And now I'm living a life full of energy. I don't fear crashing back into bed again in the way that I used to, because I know how to look after myself. And that's something I'd really like to share with you on this channel. So I hope you'll explore these videos as I explore what I've learned, what I know about chronic exhaustive conditions, and something of my life, so that you can actually decide for yourself whether this is real and whether it's possible for you to actually go on this recovery journey too. And hopefully to think about maybe booking yourself onto one of my discovery calls where you can just talk to me face to face and ask any questions you might have, and we can explore how I might be able to help you to look forward, not to getting your life back, but to moving forward into a life that is so much better than anything you've had before.